beep, beep, beep. This is a public service announcement. I'm kidding. Now he's recording again, so be cautious of what you say. It can be held against you in the court of law. I'm kidding. Now, if you will, go into LeadStreet, click on Site Builder. So inside the Site Builder, click on the second tab called Site Content. Site Builder, Site Content. Okay, now the site content is actually the meat and potatoes of your website. This is where you add web pages, content, and everything to your website. The site content has nothing to do with your home page. These are all interior pages. Somebody asked me, what's the limit of pages you can add inside here? What is your limit of imagination? We've only had one agent actually add about 1,200 pages. The website still ran, but it ran kind of slow inside LeadStreet. I don't know anybody else that's even come close to that part. I don't know if he sold anything or listed anything for 6 months, but he had 1,200 pages. Okay. Before you get into the site content, what you need to do is actually write down on a piece of paper and actually diagram out how you're going to organize your pages inside your website. Because if you don't, you're going to start creating a bunch of pages, and then everything's going to be all mixed up, and then you're going to have to go back and reorganize anyway. So before you do anything, set down how you want it to look like on the menu bar, and then under the drop downs, what pages you want displayed under the drop downs. So under the site content, let me move this over. Under site content, content pages, you have 4 different sections, and I call them sections because this is where you add pages to, and they're separated. You know, there's a light gray in the middle, and then you have a darker gray separating these boxes. There's 4 of them, and they're called top navigation button. When you see the words top navigation button, it's referring to that's what's displayed on the menu bar. So number 5 is top navigation button, properties. And if you look over on the website over on the right hand side, it says properties. Below that you have services, top navigation button, services. And if I scroll down further, you'll also have community and profile. So in each one of these sections or boxes, you can add pages to these. So does everybody follow on what we're talking about? Okay. The number for the top navigation button represents the order that it's going to be displayed on the menu bar. The lower the number, further to the left it's going to display. The higher the number, the further to the right. By default, it's using increments of 5. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So all your top navigation buttons have a number of 5, 10, 15, 20, and 25 going down. Can you add navigation links between those numbers? Yes, you can. There is no limit to the number of links or links that you can add to the menu bar. If you go to the end of the menu bar and you have more than what will fit there, it'll automatically wrap it. So you can actually have multiple rows of links on your menu bar. The downside to it is I don't think it looks professional and it doesn't look as clean. It doesn't mean that it's wrong, it's just personal preference for me. So I'm going to give you an example of what one looks like when there's multiple links on the menu bar. Okay, so he ran out of room on his links going across. So it actually wrapped and created a second line of links on the menu bar. Okay, do y'all see that? So you can add multiple links to the menu bar. Okay, now what he's doing works for him. Very successful. So I'm not knocking what he's doing. I just personally, I don't like the multiple rows because it can get confusing. Now under your site content,
are you going to show us how to add it?
Mm-hmm. So inside each one of these sections, you can add a form, You can add a page or you can add a link. Adding a form under the support files, there's a document inside there that will show you or walk you through step by step on how to add a form or to create a custom form. Okay? Adding a link is pretty self-explanatory. Adding a link means you're adding a link to a page within your website or a website outside of your website itself. Add a page, we'll get to that in a few minutes. Let's talk about the different columns inside here. Link settings. Link settings allows you to go in and change the name, the navigation title, the sort number, because every page has a sort number. Okay, is everybody understanding what I'm talking about? On your left, these are pages. And they all have numbers. Under link settings, you click edit. You can change the sort number. You can change the name. You can take this page and move it from properties down to another section if you want, and vice versa from the other sections as well. You can show or hide the page, so it actually has the show or hide buttons on there. Show means it's showing on your website on the drop down. Hide, it does two things. It removes it from the drop down menu, and it also removes it from your index file or your robots file. Okay? So just keep that in mind. If you don't know what that means, it's okay. The two columns, show or hide. If you show the page, again, it shows on the drop-down menu, and they can click on it and go to it. If you hide it, does it disable that web page? It only hides it. The page is still there. If you know the direct link to that page, you can still get to that page. It just takes it off the drop-down menu and it removes it from your index file. Okay? Over on your right-hand side, it says content type. When you see the words edit page, you have complete control over that page. Images, text, JavaScript. If you know HTML, you can do some simple modifications in HTML for the page itself. Preset. Preset's pretty simple. You either use that page or you don't. You cannot modify that page itself. Module settings. Okay, remember the settings that we did for the featured properties? Where you can only make selections and that's all you could do? That's what a module setting is. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom. At the bottom it says edit template on some of the pages. When you see edit template, it allows you to add content to the page, but it does not allow you to modify how it's displayed on the page. So to give you an example, if I click on client testimonials, if I click on edit template, the page comes up. I can add a heading, comments, names, sort order. Can I actually modify how the page is displayed? You cannot. Okay? So a template allows you to add content, but you can't control actually how the page is designed or displayed. Scroll all the way to the bottom. At the bottom, there's a link where it says Add New Top Navigation Level Button. Now, before you click on this link, there's something that you need to remember. There's only 4 sections under site content that you can add pages to. You can add a link to the top navigation button or link to the menu bar, but it does not create additional drop downs. So no matter what, there's only 4 drop downs available inside the site content. Do y'all follow me?
Yeah.
Okay, I know somebody's got to be confused because not everybody can shake their head, yeah.
Yeah, can you show us?
Okay, we're actually going to show you how to add a link. Okay, so is everybody good so far? All right, go ahead and click on Add New Top Navigation Level. When you click on Add New, what you're looking at doing is adding a link to the menu bar. When you're adding a link to the menu bar, it's going to ask you for a button text. The button text is actually the link that's going to be displayed on the menu bar itself. So in this case, I'm just going to call it, I'm going to call it free CMA, just to name it something. Show on the website. Do I want this to display on the menu bar? I'm going to leave it set to yes. The sort value. In what position do I want this on the menu bar? Do I want it in between some of the current links that are in there? Do I want it on the far right, away from everything else? Do I want it the first thing that shows up on the menu bar over on the left-hand side? Now, one thing to remember too, your home link on your menu bar, you cannot adjust that. It's always going to be 0. Okay? Now, if I want this next to the home button, I can use number 3. Or actually 1, 2, 3, or 4, and it'll place it next to home. If I use 5, what happens if I use number 5? I'm sorry? You can duplicate sort numbers. If you duplicate the sort numbers, then it sorts alphabetical. So for right now, for properties, the top navigation button for properties is number 5. If I set my free CMA to number 5, then F comes, I'd say my ABCs. F comes before G, so free CMA would display before properties. Okay? So do you see what I'm talking about? If you use the same sort number, then it sorts alphabetical. And I'll show you what it looks like when you start adding content in a few minutes. So I'm going to set this one to 5 just to show you what it looks like. All right, now you have 4 options when you add a link to the menu bar. The first one is you can link it to a page. So any page that you create inside your site content, you can link directly to that page inside LeadStreet.
Does that mean that page will come underneath that navigation button?
No. It just means that they'll click on the link and it'll go directly to the page. It does not create additional drop-downs. It only creates a link.
Where does the link show up? So if they click on free CMA, they're going to go to this page? Is that what you're saying?
Right. Okay, so if they click on the link on the menu bar that says free CMA, whatever page I select, that's what it's going to link to. So when they click on it, it's going to go to that page. Custom forms. If you create a custom form, you can also have that set to where they can link to it from the menu bar. So you can create a custom form for CMA, and you can require specific fields. Address, phone numbers, are they renting, buying, do they current own, add additional comments, whatever it is. You can require specific fields in the forms that you create. There are pre-built forms that you can use. Advice for a move, CMA, contact a broker. You're not going to use that one. Find an agent, you're not going to use that one. They're on your website. Personal assistance, relocation, free CMA, request mortgage pre-approval, selling a home. In this case, I'm just going to go ahead and select free CMA. Or you can have custom URL. So let's say you have a blog that is separate from your website. And on your menu bar, you can call it My Blog. They click on that, it actually opens up a new window and it goes to your blog that's in that separate website itself. A word of advice. Any page that you create that has a link linking out to another website or another page outside of your website, always make sure it opens in a new window. Because when they close that window out, you still want your website to be there. If they click on the link and in that same window it goes to that website, you actually lose them, because if they go 3 or 4 pages deep in that other website, they're not going to hit back 5 or 6 times just to get back to your website. So
I think I heard you say earlier, if we're creating a landing page, like for a community profile, that it's helpful to put a link in there to that community website?
yes.
Okay, does that help SEO?
If you're linking outside to your website, yes.
It does, okay.
Yes, one thing to remember, search engines actually count higher the number of links coming into your website versus the number of links going out. Okay, so the more links you have coming in, the better it is versus the more links going out. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to click on Add Navigation Button. It says Site Navigation Button Added. It refreshes, and then here's that button that I just added to the website. If I view the website, okay, so here, Properties, Free CMA, you see how it's displayed? And let's say, you know what, I really don't like that. I'm going to remove it. You got a couple of options. You edit the button properties. You can hide it, so that way you can use it later on instead of having to recreate it. Or you can delete it. And you delete it, it clears it out. Okay, so is that pretty simple, how to add a link to the menu bar?
What's the value that you give it?
I forgot what I gave it earlier. 5. Did I give it 5? Okay. I wonder why it changed. I wonder why property showed up in Free CMA. Okay. Have to go look at that. Now, let me see if I still have my other one up. Okay, I got too many windows open.
So what are the 4 that have pages under them?
Properties. His question is, what are the pages that have the drop downs underneath them? It's going to be Properties, number 5, number 10, Services, number 15 is Community, and number 20 is Profile. Those are the 4 fields, and the reason I say fields is because you can rename the navigation buttons. So let me log out of here, and I'm going to show you, give you an example of what it looks like when you start actually adding pages. Okay, so on your menu bar, Property, Services, Community, Profile. On my website, City Search was my Properties. I renamed it from Properties to City Search. My Community, I renamed it from Community to Neighborhood and School Listings, because that's how I'm organizing my web pages inside here. This is where it comes back down to, on a piece of paper, I'm telling you, write down your menu bar, what you want to name it, what order you want it to be, and then start writing down the pages that you want displayed underneath each one of those drop downs. It will save you time. The next thing that you need to think about is numbers. How are you going to group these pages together? What numbers are you going to use? Under school information or school neighborhood and school listings, these first pages at the top of my website, they are neighborhoods. I group all of my neighborhoods together that I create. The next one down below is school. Then I have the high schools, and then I have the junior highs. By using numbers, I'm able to group them together, but also keep things separated and organized the way I want them displayed on that drop-down page itself. Okay. Now, this is what it looks like. This is my city search, which is also properties. So every one of my pages for cities, I'm using 50. I know the question probably going to come up, why did I choose 50? Because you can use the number 1 through 254. Take your pick. Okay? I just chose 50 because it's a big separation between 50 and 127. So I have plenty of room to add other pages inside there if I want to and still keep things separated. Here's my neighborhood. All of my neighborhood pages, I'm using 50. You can use the same numbers in these different fields, and it doesn't matter. Each one of these boxes or fields where you can add pages to, they're individual boxes or pages, or boxes or where you can add pages itself. So for the neighborhoods, I'm using 50. My high schools, I'm using 70. My junior highs, I'm using 75. If I go to another school, then I'm probably going to start off with number 80 and use increments for the schools. Okay, so do you see how I'm using numbers to group things together? And when you use the same number, it sorts alphabetical. People are familiar with reading alphabetically, then throwing everything together and separating and having it being mixed up. It makes it hard for them to find things. Yes, ma'am.
So which were the ones that had the drop downs in?
Okay, so inside your drop downs, you have the number 5 by default is profile. Number 10 is services. Number 15 is communities. And number 25 is profile. Okay. So it's very important that everybody understands the site content of how this part works, because if not, it will get very confusing very fast. So under your site content, how many boxes can you add pages to? There's 4. How many pages can you add? As many as you want. What numbers can you use? 1 through 254. Can you duplicate numbers? What happens if you duplicate? Okay, it automatically sorts alphabetically. Okay, so when you on your paper, when you write down on your menu bar, start putting numbers on there. And then on your drop downs, on the pages that you want to create, use numbers to group things together. So if you're going to do communities, just do communities or neighborhoods 50. Cities 25. You know, come up with a number. It doesn't matter what numbers you use. You're the one that's going to be doing it. Okay? So does anybody have any questions over the site content? Okay. Now we're going to have some fun. Under site content, scroll down to community. And let me close out of this and get back into this. So under site content, go to community. What we're going to do is we're going to go through a 4-step process, and we're going to create what's called an SEO search page, or in what I call an SEO neighborhood page. Now, why would I want to create one of these pages? For search engines. That's it. It's strictly for search engines. And what the page looks like is a page with content, and then the listings, come on. And when this happens, go get a refresher, or coffee, or tea, or... Okay, did the internet kind of like crater? There it goes. Oh, how weird. Okay, I'm going to zoom out just a little bit so y'all can see this. Okay, so basically what we're going to do is we're going to create a web page that has content. After we create the web page that has content, then we're going to create what we call a saved search. And a saved search can be based upon a neighborhood, a specific school, a school district, city, zip code, or any other criteria that you want to use. In this case, we're going to do a neighborhood to make it simple. First step, content. Second step, save search. Third step, you actually combine these two together. Now the reason that we create these pages is one, we want to get the pages ranked in the search engines. Why do we put the listings on this page? Okay, let me rephrase the question. What happens to this web page every single day?
It's updated.
Besides the search engines, what happens to that web page every day? It updates with what? The listings. The listings on this page get updated almost every single day. Depending on what neighborhood it is, it might be every day, or it might be every other day, depending on how busy that neighborhood is. Search engines will crawl a web page more often, the more times it changes, than a web page that is designed one time and left alone. Okay? Why do we create these web pages? Is to generate traffic to your website. What we have found is that it takes about 100 visitors to your website to create one lead. And what I mean by one lead is somebody that you're working with or you're talking to. Okay, it might create multiple leads, but no communications is going on. It takes about 100 visitors. So a way to actually create those leads is by creating web pages that are getting ranked in the search engines. Okay, now there's going to be specific things that we're going to go through and add on some of these pages. The best analogy that I can use, you take a ladder and you lean it up against the wall and you have every one of the rings on that ladder. How easy is it to get to the top? It's pretty easy as long as all the rings are there, right? If you take one of the rings out, can you still get to the top? The older you get, probably not, but no, in reality, can you get to the top? Yeah, you can still get to the top. You just got to skip a step, makes it a little bit more difficult, right? If you take another ring out in a different position, can you still get to the top? Yeah, it just makes it a little more difficult, right? So the more rings you take out of the ladder, the harder it is to get ranked in the search engines. It doesn't mean that it can't be done, it just makes it a little bit more difficult. And as we're going through here, I'm going to point some things out that search engines look for. If you miss one of those steps, take a ring out of the ladder. It doesn't mean it won't get ranked, it just means that it'll make it get harder itself. Okay? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a web page. So under site content, scroll down to community. So under community, click on add page. So top navigation button, community. Number 15. You're going to click on add page. A window is going to open up. And in the page title, I want you to type in the neighborhood that you live in. Okay, so underneath top navigation button, community. The right hand side, you got the 3 links. Add form, add page, add link. Click on add page. The window opens up. In the page title, type in the neighborhood name. Okay, now when I create a web page and I'm using it for a search, at the end of it, I always put in SEO because it's an identifier for me to know that this page is linked to an SEO search page.
Wait a minute, you put that in the title?
I put it in the title.
Oh, I already.
It's okay. So if you've already submitted it,
Yeah.
click on edit under link settings, the column for that page, and then you can change the name of it. I always use SEO. You can use whatever identifier that you want.
That doesn't show up in the public.
Not yet. We're going to get there. Okay. So when you click on add page, put in the neighborhood name, and I do SEO at the end just so it's an identifier. After you do that, click submit or add page. Now when you add the page, it gives you two options. You can edit the content or you can close the window. As a rule of thumb, I always close the window first. The reason I close the window is because when I close the window, the page refreshes, and then under community, you should see the page that you just created. Okay, do y'all see that? Okay, anytime you add a web page, by default, it will always put it in with a sort value of 99. The reason I never edit the page when I first add it is because I make sure I'm in the habit of coming back to the site content and changing the sort number. And the way that you change the sort number is under the link settings. So click Edit for link settings. I'm sorry?
I did something wrong.
It's okay.
I got to, I don't know how I
Okay,
got there.
scroll down. Cancel. Okay, now scroll down to community. And then click Edit, Link Settings. Okay, there's two different links, and some of you will do this. I've done it a couple times myself. When you need to change the name or the title of the page, or change the sort value, the link settings column is where you do it at. If you click on Edit Page, it takes you to an HTML editor. So everybody should be clicking on Edit on the link settings. Now when you click Edit on the link settings, you can change the page title, you can change where it's displayed, you can actually move it from other places inside the site content. Make sure that it's set to hide, okay? If you have it set to show, you'll have duplicated content later on, so make sure it stays set to hide. You see the checkbox where it says show title. Do y'all see that? Okay, as a rule of thumb, every web page that you create, always go to the link settings, click on Edit, uncheck the show title. Now, the reason that you uncheck the show title, my title name for this page is called Nottingham SEO. If I leave the show title checked, when the page is actually viewed from the public side, at the top of the page, it's going to say Nottingham SEO. I do not want that on the page. It's not going to help me with the search engine optimization. It's just a page title name, that's all it is. So by unchecking the show title, it's not going to display that on the page itself. The sort value, okay, because I'm using this page in conjunction or linking to an SEO search page, I don't want it mixed up with everything else that I have up at the top. So I typically use a higher number, so that way it's always at the bottom. And in this case, just use 240.
And we would use that on all of our community SEO pages.
Yes, that's what I do. Okay.
That's what I'm going to do.
Go ahead and click submit, and it says page is updated.
So you just uncheck show
Uncheck show title, and then set the sort value to 240. Okay, so have we added content to this page yet?
now.
All right, now we are going to. How do you add content to a web page?
Edit page.
Edit page. So over on the right-hand side of that page that you just created with the sort value of 240, to the right, click on Edit Page. I can't remember.
You just play it anyway.
Okay. I can't talk and type, so that's why I typed everything out. Does this sentence look like similar formatting as to what you're going to do on your home page? Okay. Because we're targeting a neighborhood, we're targeting a specific geographical location. So in this case, would we put in, and I'm doing Nottingham, okay? So for Nottingham in Katy, Texas, would I put Katy Independent School District as another phrase for this page? Yes, no, maybe? Wrong. Let me tell you why. Because Katy Independent School District covers a broad geographical area. The page that we're creating covers a specific geographical area. So for the school, for the neighborhood, the phrases that you're going to target for that neighborhood are the specific school names that service that neighborhood. Some neighborhoods might have 2 junior highs, or it might have 2 high schools. If that's the case, you put them in there.
Got it on 2 lines or?
No. Our question is, does it matter